Is Trump's reference to Red October just a simple analogy, or is there something deeper? Well, I can tell you that it always goes deeper. The operation underway is like a work of art. We never really know if we've experienced everything the artist is trying to tell us. Wait till you hear this. The book entitled The Hunt for Red October was written in 1984 by Tom Clancy. It was his very first book, and Clancy published a total of 33 books, all after The Hunt for Red October. In 1997, Clancy purchased a house on South Ocean Drive in Palm Beach, which happens to be directly next door to President Trump's 17-acre Mar-a-Lago home. Trump purchased Mar-a-Lago in 1985 from the Post Foundation, as in the Post serial heiress. But previously, Post had donated the estate to the U.S. government with the intention that it serve as a winter White House. The government found it too expensive to maintain and returned it to the Post Foundation in 1981. Trump then bought it in 1985 for $7 million. I know this because Tim and I found a deal on a hotel and stayed on Palm Beach for a week a couple of years ago, and we got to see a lot about that little island that houses the rich, famous, and infamous. One day, we drove around and I searched the appraiser's office on my phone to find out who lived in what mansions. I distinctly remember how surprised I was that a book author could own such an amazing home across from the beach. Are you ready for this one? The author of Red October became so wealthy that he lived in his own beachfront mansion next to President Trump's Mar-a-Lago. Considering the events surrounding Clancy's meteoric rise, we have to wonder if he wasn't employed by the White Hat operation to write that book and many subsequent ones as part of soft disclosure. Sit tight because we're gonna tie this notion in, and you'll see why I say this. Let's look at some more odd convergences with today's timeline. First, I'm assuming you noted the 17 acres of Mar-a-Lago. I don't know about that one and if it's deliberate, but the fact that Mr. Clancy wrote 33 books before his death is notable. You may have heard the term gematria, which is a multifaceted practice of assigning numerical values to letters in words or phrases. It's historically rooted in Jewish tradition and widely adapted across cultures and disciplines, including science, philosophy, politics, and the arts, to explore deeper meanings and encode information, often serving as a bridge between the tangible and the esoteric. Gematria is extensively used by number 17 and the Dark Ones. They are super big on numerology and lots of mystical and ritualistic stuff. It is their religion. So the good guys under the 17 plan also use numerology extensively. When you look up the gematria for the number 33, in both simple and Jewish gematria, it decodes to the word Haggai, who was a Hebrew prophet who commanded the Jews to rebuild the temple after the fall of Babylon. We have heard these days compared to Babylon many times. Is this getting weird enough yet? Red October was made into a movie and released in 1990 and is based on true events surrounding the Soviet Burevestnik-class anti-submarine frigate. NATO reported the name as Krivak, and it was led by a political officer named Valery Sablin. The events took place in November 1975, and Sablin wanted to become the leader of the Second Russian Revolution. He was well known as a man who couldn't stand for injustice, and found himself in a time when corruption was at its peak. Babylon and peak corruption. So, all of this sounds very loosely connected, and there are many other gematria hits to examine, but let me firm this up a little more. The United States government shut down on October 1, 2025, and, exactly 5 years before, the number 17 posted a meme of Donald Trump reminiscent of the famous promotional photo for the release of the movie The Hunt for Red October. This meme said, "Below the depths of the DC swamp, the hunt is on." In the invisible war for the future of our republic, the tables are now turned. And now, the hunters become the hunted. Patriots are in control. In honor of Donald J. Trump, Q-Team Patriots, all Anons and every member of the Great Awakening engaged in the hunt. WWG1, WGA, and at the very bottom it says, "Enjoy the show." I'm now going to show you a couple of 17 drops. The first is number 3354, which references the public Mueller hearing, held on July 24, 2019. 17 tells us that it was a tactic to stall the release of the H report, implying behind-the-scenes actions are happening despite public inaction. H stands for Huber, referring to John Huber, the U.S. attorney appointed by then AG Jeff Sessions in 2017 to investigate the FBI and DOJ misconduct related to the Clinton Foundation and Hillary Clinton's emails. It tells us that just because the public is unaware of something does not mean nothing is happening. Then it says that Huber or H plus Comey equals D or declassification, which is the start of many I's or indictments. 17 then asks, what happens when those who held positions of power and influence no longer pull the strings? What happens when blackmail no longer works? Do you become a liability? All of this has already happened, and those previously protected become prey. The hunters become the hunted. I also want to share a very early 17 drop, which is number 282. An Anon asked 17 the following, I have a question. The 10 days of darkness. When? Number 17 gave a one-word answer, which was shutdown. We have waited many Octobers, each year hoping that was the onset of the 10 days of darkness. Everything is in place. Generals were called to Quantico a day before the shutdown, and we haven't heard anything about where they are now. We take note and we wait, but we should be prepared with food, water, and medicines that you might need, just in case. Before I close this video, I want to remind you that both white hat and black hat soft disclosure has been occurring for decades. I did a video on the controlled use of Star Trek and the Outer Limits to awaken the people to what is about to happen. There are declassified documents in the description of that video on naval intelligence that will be linked at the end. I know that Donald Trump has been an integral part of number 17 since the start, and I want you to watch this video of President Trump that follows, which was part of an impromptu interview on the White House lawn on June 18, 2025, and in true Charlie Kirk form, I challenge you to change my mind.
I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter.